The first report said an ambulance had been stolen. At first, nobody thought it was connected to the murder. It happened on a rainy Tuesday night. A private ambulance was parked outside a small medical clinic. The driver left the engine running, just for 2 minutes. He went inside to pick up paperwork. When he came back, the ambulance was gone. No broken glass, no struggle, no warning, just gone. The police treated it like a vehicle theft. Expensive equipment inside, oxygen tanks, medical bags, emergency drugs. It made sense. Someone wanted to steal and sell the equipment. But Detective Harris didn't think so. Because thieves usually take what they can carry. They don't steal a vehicle that every camera in the city will notice, especially not an ambulance. An ambulance is too visible, too loud, too risky. Unless visibility was the point. That was the first thing Harris wrote in his notebook. Why steal something everyone notices? 2 hours later, the ambulance was found, abandoned behind an old warehouse near the industrial district. The doors were open. The lights were off. The medical equipment was still inside. Nothing valuable was missing. That changed everything. If the equipment wasn't the target, then the ambulance itself was used for something. The forensic team searched it carefully. At first, they found almost nothing. The steering wheel had been wiped clean, door handles wiped, dashboard wiped. Whoever stole it knew what they were doing. But then one technician noticed something. A small drop of blood near the rear step. Not much, almost invisible in the rain, but it was there. Then they found another drop inside, near the stretcher lock, and a third one under the oxygen rack. That was when the case stopped being a stolen vehicle. It became a possible murder. Harris asked for all emergency calls from that night. One call stood out. At 9:18 p.m., a woman reported seeing a man collapse outside an apartment building. The caller said 2 paramedics arrived quickly. They loaded the man into an ambulance and drove away. The problem was, no real ambulance had been sent to that address. No dispatch record, no hospital intake, no patient. That meant one thing. The stolen ambulance had been used to abduct someone. The victim's name was Michael Reeves, 46 years old, accountant, quiet life, no criminal record. But there was one detail that mattered. He worked for a transport company, a company that moved luxury cars across the country. 2 days before he vanished, Michael had contacted the police. He said he had found something wrong in the company records, missing vehicles, fake delivery logs, insurance claims that didn't match. He believed someone inside the company was stealing high-end cars. Not one car, not 2, a whole operation. That gave Harris the motive. Michael was going to expose a major auto theft ring, and someone decided to stop him. Now the question was how. Harris went to the apartment building where Michael had collapsed. There were cameras in the lobby. The footage showed Michael entering at 8:52 p.m. He looked nervous. He kept checking his phone. At 9:07, he walked back outside. Then he suddenly stopped near the curb. He looked dizzy. He touched his neck, then collapsed. A minute later, the stolen ambulance arrived. 2 men stepped out, both wearing paramedic uniforms. They moved confidently, too confidently. No panic, no rush. They already knew what they were doing. They lifted Michael onto the stretcher, loaded him inside, and left in under 90 seconds. To anyone watching, it looked like a rescue. That was the genius of the crime. They committed an abduction in public, and everyone saw it as help. Harris replayed the video again, then again. Something bothered him. Michael touched his neck before collapsing. Not his chest, not his head, his neck. Harris asked for the sidewalk camera from across the street. That angle showed what the lobby camera missed. A man had walked past Michael seconds before he collapsed. They barely touched, just a shoulder brush. But the man's hand moved quickly toward Michael's neck. A needle, small, fast, almost invisible. That was the process. First, they drugged him in public. Then they arrived as fake paramedics. Then they removed him before anyone questioned it. Harris now had the method. He had the motive, but he still needed the people behind it. The first suspect was the transport company's operations manager. His name was Victor Hale. He controlled vehicle routes, he approved delivery logs, and he knew Michael had found the fake records. But Victor had an alibi. At the time of the abduction, he was at a restaurant with 6 witnesses. So Harris looked deeper. He didn't search for who was seen, he searched for who disappeared. One employee had left work early that evening, a mechanic named Eric Sloan, former military medic, trained in emergency response. He knew how to move a body on a stretcher. He knew what uniforms looked real. And he had access to the company garage. When police checked his apartment, he was gone. That made the warrant easier. They searched his garage that night. Inside, they found medical gloves, a fake paramedic jacket, a disposable syringe wrapper, and most importantly, a burned hospital ID badge. The photo was melted, but the barcode still worked. It belonged to a real paramedic, reported missing 3 days earlier. That was when the case turned darker. The stolen ambulance was not the first crime. The fake uniforms were not bought. They were taken from someone who probably never made it home. Police expanded the search to a rural property owned by Eric's cousin, a place outside the city. Old barn, no neighbors nearby. When the search team arrived, nobody answered. They entered through the side gate. Inside the barn, they found tire tracks, fresh, wide enough for an ambulance. They found blood on the floor, not a lot, but enough. Then they found Michael's watch, broken, under a wooden pallet. Behind the barn, officers found a shallow grave. Inside was Michael Reeves, and next to him, the missing paramedic. That was the full crime. They killed the paramedic for the uniform and ID, stole the ambulance to make the abduction look real, drugged Michael in public, took him away in front of witnesses, then killed him before he could expose the car theft ring. Eric Sloan was arrested the next morning, but he wasn't the mastermind. His phone led police to Victor Hale, the operations manager with the perfect restaurant alibi. Victor hadn't touched the ambulance. He hadn't worn the uniform. He hadn't injected Michael. He had planned it. Police searched Victor's office. In a locked drawer, they found a second phone. On it were route lists, photos of luxury cars, payments to fake drivers, and one message to Eric: make it look medical. That was the line that convicted him. The motive was money, millions in stolen cars. Michael had found the records. So Victor used the one disguise nobody questions: a rescue. Because when people see an ambulance, they don't look for criminals. They step aside. They trust it. And that was what made the crime so terrifying. It didn't happen in the shadows. It happened in public, in front of cameras, in front of witnesses, and almost everyone saw it. But nobody understood what they were watching.